All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. I will ask Fred Gamble, if you would, to lead us in an invocation.
Thank you. Gracious God, for this day we thank you. For this little slice of heaven that we call Kerrville, Texas, we thank you. For the people in this assembly who give their time and their energy and their love for you and this place, we thank you. We ask, Lord, that you keep us mindful that everything we do, everything we say, means nothing if it's not to your glory. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Fred. All right, item number 3 in our agenda is the approval of the minutes from our regular tax increment reinvestment zone meeting held on January the 28th of 2021. I do believe that was in your packet. It was emailed to you. So I am looking for a motion for approval.
So move.
Thank you. In a second, any changes or amendments to the minutes? Anything you see that needs attention? If not, all those in favor, raise your right hand. That motion passes unanimously. On to item number 4, which is quarterly reports and an update on various downtown projects. Is that you, Mr. Hoppy?
That is me.
Great.
So in front of you today, you see we've got kind of called this our community highlight sheet. It's an 11 by 17 that we put together, and obviously it's got a lot more highlights from all around the Kerrville area, more so than just the downtown area or the Tirz district, but wanted to bring your attention to a particular subset of exciting things that really have been going on since this group last met in the, January time frame, I believe. One of which certainly was the HEB store opening. And so that has, and we'll talk a little bit about that later, of the timing of when that store was completed and kind of how that impacts the tax rolls and when those appraisals occur. But definitely a catalytic activity for the downtown and continuing to drive traffic into the downtown Tirz district. On number 4 there, the Hill Country, Heart of the Hills Heritage Center, planning continues to progress on that. As you may know, we have the city has a partnership agreement with that nonprofit entity, and they are in the fundraising process right now. They've raised about 3/4, maybe a little bit more than that, of what they need to do to be able to achieve the thresholds for us to continue the architectural efforts and planning efforts on there, and then eventually the construction of that facility. But that is located at our library complex, and we're excited to keep that ball moving. Number 5 is just kind of general downtown, and we list that on there because we've got a lot of different exciting things. One being that the Calla Theater is back and operational and is beginning to have shows again. Hopefully that will continue to be the case as we do see a little bit of an uptick in the surge locally in the pandemic. But hopefully they will be able to continue to be a catalyst for us. For the most part, when you drive up and down our downtown core area, we really don't have any vacancies right now. Those elements have been filled up. We do have some properties that are under construction and that hopefully will be opening soon during the spring time frame, fall and spring time frame. But we're excited to see renovation in some of those areas and bringing new customer bases and new retail, commercial, and entertainment type customers to the downtown area. And then perhaps one of the most exciting that we've seen here in the near term is the opening of the Arcadia Theater, and then really beginning to ramp up the ability to bring in shows and have the catalytic activity that both the city and the EIC invested into that facility, and the private investment, certainly that philanthropic investment from the community that went into that. But those are just a number of different things. I will highlight number 7 as well, the Guadalupe River Trail. So as you may or may not know, EIC funded and the city completed a feasibility study for an extension of the river trail up into the downtown area. So we have provided that report to them on what that potentially could look like in the future. Obviously, that doesn't take it to the next step of engineering, and that would be required later on. But because that did have a downtown focus, we just did want to go ahead and highlight that for you because that has been delivered in the last 6 months or so. So be happy to answer any questions that the group may have.
I'm surprised you don't recognize the Trailhead Beer Garden.
Well, it's not in downtown.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not, and when certainly we usually highlight it right there. We see number 7 and number 8, Shriner University are right there next to each other. And so we usually speak to it, but I didn't necessarily bring it up to this group because it wasn't necessarily downtown. But it's a good point. We're certainly proud of it.
I wanted to sit on here as well.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah. It's a good point.
And what are we using these for?
So we use these in a number of ways. I utilize this as kind of a communication tool when it comes to different groups. I've presented this at some of the Rotary groups and Lions clubs and things of that nature. So we just use it as kind of a quick highlight element to talk about good news that's going on in the community. And certainly it's not the only good news. It's just there's only so much you can pack onto an 11 by 17 sheet.
That's good. That's good. EA, can you go back to the Museum History Center? I attended just as a visitor the Main Street Advisory Board meeting in whenever that was, the July meeting, I guess. And it was reported that bids were in the process of seeking bids for that project. Is there an update on that?
No, not on that project, not yet. It hasn't gone through really an architecture process yet.
Oh.
What may have been reported was that the library complex, we're in the process of bidding a number of different elements that are improvements to that campus facility. One of those are HVAC and lighting repairs, and those are mostly interior to the actual Bud Holdsworth Memorial Library. One of those is the Island effort, which obviously extends the electrical down from the library complex. And then probably the one that you're referring to is the ramp, the pedestrian ramp from the library down to the river trail.
Okay.
That's been bid. We've received bids. It's within the engineer's estimate. We'll be bringing that forth to council, I think, on the 24th of August.
Oh, good, good.
Yeah, but no, we haven't gotten to the point of bidding this project yet. Like I said, that nonprofit entity that we have a partnership with has to meet their philanthropic funding threshold, which is right at $1 million. They're about 3/4 of the way, a little bit north of 3/4 of the way there. And so once they reach that, then we'll go ahead and start the architecture effort, which probably will take 6 to 9 months, and then we'll be ready to bid the project.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the lighting Tranquility Island project, is that going forward as scheduled?
We have gotten preliminary bids back for that, and so that will be another item that will be on the council agenda on the 24th.
Good, good, okay, good, thank you.
Any other questions for the group?
Very exciting time to see the development in downtown.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay,
Second, Kenneth?
you may need to take a brief pause.
There is a vice chair, I think, that was elected.
I believe it's.
I can
Swindler.
certainly take over if we
Yeah.
do
Why don't we
we
just
wanna
take a
wait just a little bit?
Let's just
Just
take a
little
short
bit?
break. Yeah.
Just a little bit.
We're not in any rush.
And we're sure you could take over, Randy.
I can certainly run a meeting, not as well as him, but I can do it. But this next item is important, so I'd like for him to be here. There he goes.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
So where do we stop?
I think we're all wrapped up on downtown update. I can certainly re-highlight anything that anybody, or answer any questions that any may be out there for the group.
Questions?
I keep thinking as a city, we are all filled up, but we're filled up in some places with stuff that maybe we don't really want downtown. And maybe I'm wrong, maybe it's my view that there's something that might be better for those. And so I just wonder, as a city, how, I mean, I'm a big property rights guy, don't get me wrong, but how do we encourage businesses downtown? And, because we have a real variety of caliber of businesses downtown, where we have some really great businesses that draw good sales tax numbers and stuff that I'm sure the city's really happy about. And then we have another, whole other end of the spectrum that probably doesn't really. And how do we either help those businesses or help them, so that we're really maximizing the sales tax and the value of the assets that we have in downtown? And I don't know, I'm asking. I mean, I know what I do as a broker, but I'm not a city,
Sure.
right? And of course, I only get to talk to people who want to talk to me, so.
I think the city is somewhat limited, just through zoning, right? And kind of overall uses within those. But certainly I think, with kind of using your words, I think there's a spectrum there of quality of tenant, certainly within any given use, right? And so I think, the best approach is kind of a rising tide raises all ships, right? And so as you begin to have, high quality tenants and high quality reasons to come downtown, like Arcadia and like Cala Theater and other catalytic activities, that then drives rents and that drives quality of tenants, and you let the private market organically play itself out.
Okay.
And sometimes that takes time.
It's all good. I have time.
Yeah. Time and patience, right?
Other
Good question,
questions? All right, let's move on to item number 5, which is the proposed budget for the fiscal year 2022.
Martin's got us going here. Okay, so I am Julie Behrens. For those of you who don't know me, I'm the interim finance director at the city at the current time. And I want to give you a little bit of information before we just jump right into the proposed budget. Just thought it was just some facts to share. So you remember that, our first year of revenue was 2020, using the base year of 2018. So looking at an increment of $22,899 for last year's revenue. And our fiscal year 2021 increment budget is $49,461. However, there was, not going to say a late filed, but a tax, an exemption filing that was after the fact, and they were within their rights to do that. And so we are going to take somewhat of a hit for 2021 because of those exemptions. So you're going to see an adjustment that we'll have to make moving forward in 2021 to our ending cash balance, as well as potentially our revenue budget there, to account for that. Shortfall we're estimating is going to be about $26,000. We're still working through the exact details on that with the tax assessor collector to see exactly what that number is going to be. So we're estimating the 2021 increment revenue to be $22,500 in that neighborhood somewhere, and more information to come on that. By the time we meet again, I'll have a good number for you. The FY22, just using the certified roll, we'll be billing for the Tirz area $606,156. So the increment for FY22, we're looking at about $64,000. So. There's a lot of things to consider. For example, HEB wasn't fully completed at the time, so as of January 1, they weren't fully valued, so we don't have a full value on what the actual impact of HEB is going to be yet. And there's several properties around, or the edges of the Tirz that are for sale right now, so that could affect us as far as the exemptions as well. So just moving forward and watching those real estate sales and see what happens there.
Like the city properties that they bought, those will be coming off, right?
I'm sorry.
The properties, the county the properties the county bought,
That's
excuse me,
correct.
I said city.
Just to clarify, the city has not bought any properties
No,
in
no, I
the downtown
apologize.
area.
I apologize.
For the record.
I was the doggone broker in the deal. I know it was the county. I'm sorry.
Yes,
The properties the county bought on Earl Garrett Street, those will come off,
that is correct,
right?
because
Okay,
those will become exempt.
right.
And they can apply for exemption, even after the tax rate. I mean, the tax bills have been sent, so
Right.
oftentimes there'll, be a refunding process through that as well.
Which is
I'm very
essentially-
sorry.
Is that
It's Slip of the tongue.
It's okay.
Totally my fault.
Just clarifying for the general public that might be
Absolutely.
watching.
Absolutely. County.
Yes, that is
So-
true.
Didn't we have roughly $20,000 or somewhere close to that to begin with?
For this year, yes.
Yeah.
about
Was that what, 19?
$23,000.
Was that 19 or was that 20?
You may want
It
to
was fiscal year.
flip forward.
Yeah, let me flip forward.
Oh, okay.
Okay, all right, so moving on to the budget, and we'll talk about that piece in detail. So, you'll see the fiscal year 2021, we were estimating an ending cash balance of right at $50,000, keeping in mind, we're gonna take a loss there for those exemptions. So that cash balance is gonna have to be adjusted, and as soon as I have a firm number, I'll get that for you. So we're estimating, that to be about a $26,000 loss, so we can see, potential pretty big hit there. That has been accounted for moving forward in the 2022 budget, so as of now, using the certified rolls, our property tax revenue estimation is $62,641. Obviously, interest is not helping us a whole lot right now, so a really small amount on the interest unless some things change in the market that we can be expecting there. So we will be adjusting the beginning cash balance for 22 once we get that number, and then of course that will affect the ending cash balance for fiscal year 22. So, and then again, keep in mind that we will have, increases with HEB coming on at a full value, and then, some other properties that we really don't know what's gonna happen with right now because they're up for sale. So, we don't have any expenses budgeted at this time. We're expecting, that 112,400 there to be in the neighborhood of, 25,000 less than that, give or take.
So right now, we don't have any elements really proposed for expenditures at this time. There may be opportunities that come up throughout the year that we do come forward to this group and see, if there's an interest in, again, this is a relatively small amount in the bank account, right? But we do have some infrastructure challenges in downtown, just like we do in other parts of, the community. That certainly would be investments moving forward. Those range in things from water and wastewater. Certainly there's older infrastructure in the downtown area that we are looking right now, going through some engineering efforts to upgrade. And we've got some sidewalk and right-of-way elements also that are applicable for Tirz funds. And so that may be something, if this group is interested in, that we come to you all, particularly if we're able to leverage some additional dollars, either through partial funding with Tirz dollars and partial funding with water and sewer funds, or some other grant opportunities that we have explored with the state through CDBG program and some other elements, that perhaps the matching piece could be help fund it via the Tirz funds. So
Okay.
that may be something that we come forward to you guys once we have a little bit better idea of where we think those costs on those projects are going to end up, and if we know if we're going to be successful with those grant opportunities.
All right.
So we just felt like it was premature at this point, both in not knowing what the project costs were for sure, and then also just kind of gauging the interest of the group.
Good.
Question on the budget. If we know now that there will be less beginning cash for the fiscal year 22, in terms of approval of a budget, do we approve it with the knowledge that we'll amend it later? Do we try to amend it beforehand, or how do you?
Well, it's gonna affect the 2021 budget more than the 2022, other than the starting cash. So we're really approving revenues and expenditures is the baseline for the budget. So, the cash is gonna change depending on what the actual budget ends up to be. And, we don't really have a whole lot of control over that until year end. In this case, we're dealing with property tax, so it happens a little sooner than our usual budget of, expenses and revenues that go all the way through 9/30. Or this one, we can kind of get it down. I think we're about 98% collected when I talked to Bob this morning, so I feel like this is something that clearly we can make an adjustment to far before year end, but we're not really approving cash balance at this time. Basically, we're approving revenues and expenditures.
So for fiscal 22.
Correct.
10/1 through 9/30/22.
That's correct. That is correct.
But you still propose that outside of the beginning cash, the property tax revenue is 62 and
Yes.
some change. That's what you're asking us to.
Right. I mean, I feel pretty confident based on the certified roll at this time, unless there's any exemptions, situations that happened this year. That's a pretty firm number coming straight from the certified roll from the appraisal district. So I feel really good about that revenue number, and barring anything that we can't control or that we can't foresee, I feel like that's a pretty solid number.
And we'll come back to you guys. I would anticipate we would come back to you guys in the January timeframe, kind of like we did last year, and give you guys sort of a mid-year update. As we do, if we do find out there are some exemptions that came into play that maybe we weren't aware of, at this point in the year.
Okay, very good. Any other questions?
Yep. Assuming that the county purchases go through, do you have an idea about how much that would affect the 62,000?
We don't right now. I mean, this budget was proposed obviously before that became, evident the way that was gonna take shape. And we'll get updated numbers as we go along, and when we have to look at specific properties as far as what their levy is and what is their exact portion of increment, because, when you're just looking at the difference in current appraised value compared to the base year value, it may not be a lot of dollars depending on the value of the overall property. But that's certainly something we can look into and I can bring back to let you know exactly how that's gonna impact it.
Julie, and EA both, how is the exemption process for the purchaser? Do they have a time frame? Can they file that anytime?
They do
Bruce
have a-
sells the property, a year or two down the road, they go, oh, we should have done this for the exemption, or how does that work?
There is a time frame, and to be honest with you, when I was talking to Bob this morning, I didn't get that exact deadline, I guess, per se. It is a certain number of months post-acquisition, I guess, for lack of a better term, or within so many months, I believe, of the actual appraised value. And I don't know what that number of months is. I can certainly find that out, but we did talk through that this morning, because that was one of my questions, is we're dealing with a revenue loss because of something that happened after the fact, and he said they're within their legal right to file for exemption after the fact, even if their property tax has been paid. So,
Okay.
yeah, I don't know what that exact number of months is, but it is a number of months.
Okay.
It's not infinity. There's a cutoff. I just don't know what that is.
There's a time limit.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
Other questions? All right, so I'm assuming this is the proposed budget you would like for us to vote on, right?
Yes, sir. I would love action today if you so choose.
I'm looking for a motion for approval.
Move we approve.
Have a motion and a second.
Second.
A second from Mindy. Any other questions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. And that motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you.
All right. EA, do you have anything to discuss for future agendas for us to?
We don't,
Know about.
and we've talked a few times about, different opportunity on how you guys really wanted to meet going forward. Whether that was, every other month, quarterly, twice a year. I think, give us feedback, please, but I think, this kind of budget time frame, August and then January, was kind of be the minimum of what we would want to do. And then, what we can do is put a date, kind of quarterly, somewhere kind of in that midpoint on y'all's calendar. And then if we need it, we can utilize it. But if it's not needed for anything really project specific, we could cancel that one and then just hold that January meeting when we have a little bit better idea of kind of the forecasting on tax base for next year and sort of where some of those pieces lined up.
So do you guys want to just throw in, say, a November date to tentatively have scratched into our calendar, and if we need it, we use it, and if not, we wait till January?
I'd say we wait till January.
Wait till January?
And then if he needs us before then, call us.
All right.
I personally.
Keisha, didn't you send us a future meeting date, or am I dreaming?
I sent them out for the quarter for this entire year.
Right.
So our next one should be,
It's on our calendar.
I've got another one for 10/28.
That was
I
the
thought-
November
I thought we
timeframe.
did.
I can cancel that one, and the next one would be January the 27th.
Oh, I know one. Nothing like that.
I see the one in October.
So I guess the question is, do we want to leave that alone, or do we want to go ahead and cancel that unless they decide they need another meeting?
I would say cancel it. I agree with John that right now, meeting twice a year, and if something comes up and you need us, right?
We'll just check with y'all's calendar at that time if that's
Let's
okay
do
with the
that.
group.
That's my thought.
We'll do it that way.
Sounds good.
Different question.
Sure.
Do three of us roll off of this thing next May? What is our,
Keisha can probably answer that better than I can, but I believe that's the
I
case.
believe that will be the case. I
so
believe
two
there's
of,
three
two
of
of us
us.
rolled off this last May? Is that the case?
I think the last May was 2, and then I think it goes 3 and then 2.
Yes, sir.
So there's 8 of us. So if we want to stay on, it wasn't clear to me who those were.
Okay.
Who had the two?
Two of us are not here.
Well, I wasn't sure, am I on a 2-year term, or yes, because I didn't reapply
Okay.
after the first year, because 2 of us rolled off this last May. I don't know if you reapplied, but I didn't. But we're
You'll
still
receive
here.
an email when your term is nearing end. And
But-
then from that email, you'll have a link to reapply.
Okay,
We'll pull the history on it and push it out to the group on
I'm just
everybody.
curious as
Yeah.
to,
Yeah, just a reminder of when term limits are and who's up when, because it always is a little bit confusing, especially when you have the startup on, because somebody gets, sort of a short term and then kind of carries out from there, so.
I think I had a thing and I re-upped.
so you were the 1 year, so you're up for 3.
I don't know, I have
Did you
never
get
heard any,
reappointed?
since I sent the application in, I've never heard anything.
But
I still get emails,
Yeah,
Still
we'll-
like you.
We'll pull the history on it.
just pull it out.
Good question.
He showed up, so.
Well, it's the official is what I want to know.
No, but right, Keisha, you sent me an application for something, because I filled it out. Sent it back.
I'll look into it.
It was in the last 60 days.
Okay.
We'll pull the history on it.
So, no worries, I'm not, I'll probably be in the peanut gallery when you all kick me out anyway, so.
All right, any other questions? Very good. I don't have any announcements. I suppose that I will adjourn the meeting unless someone has something else they want to bring up. All right, we are adjourned. It's 4:27. Thank you for your time.